So as I heard his wonderful and beautiful voice, I want to bring to the rostrum our keynote speaker for today, our beloved student regional minister, Brother Dr. Abdul Halim Muhammad. Let's receive him with a wonderful round of applause. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for this opportunity. Allahu Akbar.
We thank Allah for his love and his mercy in coming 9,000 miles and raising up for us a divine leader, teacher, and guide who would lead and teach us and build the foundation of a nation within the nation so that we may have something to pass on to our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren. We thank Allah for the man that gave you Malcolm X. He gave you Muhammad Ali. He gave you his son, Imam Warithuddin Muhammad. The one I speak of is the messenger, Messiah, the exalted Christ, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And we can never thank Allah or the honorable Elijah Muhammad enough for not leaving us alone, but leaving in our midst our brother, our servant, and our friend, a man who has impeccable character. His morals are sublime. His love is so deep and so wide, it's immeasurable how much love that he has for us, that he would stave off death 4 times because, as Paul wrote in the epistles, he could not leave until Christ was formed into the people. And so he wanted to make sure that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was piled down so deep in us like a pile driver that we would be able to walk and talk and breathe and think and eat and run and do business and do everything that we need to do, thinking with that man's thoughts, his mind, and his soul and his will, so that we would get it done, brothers and sisters, regardless of who is standing in front of us. The man I speak of is our brother, our servant, and our friend, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I greet you once again, my beloved brothers and sisters, and greetings of peace. Assalamu alaikum. I want to thank Brother Eric. You give Brother Eric a round of applause, and all of our presenters. He was really hitting the subject. I started to stay back there. I started to say, you know what, I'm gonna leave him up there. But he would never forgave me, and he said, you see, you're gonna do that to me again. No, I wouldn't want to do him like that. But I thank Allah for such a helper in Brother Eric and all those who spoke before me. I want to tell you this is part 2, and part 2s are usually shorter than part 1 because I want to have with the registered and processing Muslims the first of a couple of holdback meetings we want to have to discuss our business that we have, and we're going to do it shortly thereafter this meeting. We're going to do it, and then next week, inshallah, we're going to also do it, should I be back if I don't go and join the minister in Atlanta. That being said, brothers and sisters, I want to get right after this subject right away. This is part 2 in the way of greatness. And you've heard the long salutation, me coming up and coming before you, my brothers and my sisters, and everything that I'm going to say to you, regardless of who I might quote, who I might cite, that might seem to be outside of religion or outside of the Bible or the Holy Quran, everything that I have, I see through the prism of these 3 men. Master Fard Muhammad, the great Mahdi, our Savior, who traveled, who came here, who raised up the most honorable Elijah Muhammad to prove that indeed God was man and man was God. And in fact, he deposited himself within the most honorable Elijah Muhammad by teaching him night and day 3.5 years, and then left him. You said, well, how can you prove? How can you prove that somebody's been in the house? You know, the scripture says he would be a thief in the night. And what happened? The thief would come and he would steal all your stuff, and you wouldn't even know he had been there. And so the enemy who took us hostage, he's still holding us hostage right now because he doesn't want to let us go, brothers and sisters, because if he lets us go, he knows he'll have to face the wrath of God. But also it is his salvation to let us go. Because if he let us go, God will give him an extension of time, whether he knew it or not, but he just can't let us go. It's just a thing. It's like a kind of crazy relationship. Brother Eric was talking about male, female, and the woman and all that. Yeah, well, this one is a crazy relationship. You know, this is one of them Tyler Perry movies, one of them kind of things, you know. You ever seen them kind of things? Got more twists in it than a pretzel. But I want to say, going back to the seriousness of the hour and the subject that's before us, is that Master Fard Muhammad came here as it was promised the Son of Man would come, from the east to the west. And he did come. See, I always put forth to everyone that I have an opportunity to speak to is to let them know, brothers and sisters, that you can't find United States of America in the Bible or Holy Quran anywhere by name. And we've been mistaught in religion. We've been taught that everything happened in the past and God would send prophets and messengers and warners to everybody in the past. But you mean to say that God wouldn't come to America? That God would not raise up a man for us to lead, teach, and guide us as he did those in the past? And if he didn't, then God's a racist, and I don't want nothing to do with that God. Think over that. Jesus saved, but he couldn't save us. Church on every corner and a liquor store in between. You gonna what? Come on, crack house in between that? Gambling house in between that? What else is new? I mean, come on, y'all. Are y'all all right? Yes, sir. And then, beloved, my beloved brothers and sisters, you know, just the fact that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did what he did with a third-grade education should let you know that somebody intervened in our affair. How you have a man with a third-grade education to do what he did? That's impossible, except for God would come and intervene. We got people with PhDs, and we still debating reparations and whether reparations and civil rights, and we need jobs and justice and jobs and justice. We keep marching. People with doctorate degrees leading marches for jobs and justice. Well, you got a PhD, man. Why don't we create some jobs and give ourselves some justice? How about that? Allahu Akbar. All praise to Allah. So here's a man that taught Malcolm X. You can't get around it. I wish you would stop that, trying to lift up the students and then disregard the teacher. That's absolute madness. It is disrespectful. It's like talking about you love apple trees, but you hate apple. I mean, you love apples, but you hate apple trees. Malcolm's the fruit. He's the tree. Farah Muhammad's the root. Y'all all right? Yes, sir. Because I read the autobiography of Malcolm X, and them first years of him out of prison, all that, and his transformation, that was to me was informative, because the latter part of the last 13 months of his life, he was searching, seeking, and trying to find. You see? What you don't know, brothers and sisters, about Brother Malcolm is this: we don't bring him down. Minister Farrakhan has never taught us to hate him, his family, anything like that, because you thank God for Malcolm making an example so that Minister Farrakhan would not follow it. Yes. That's what he told him the last time they were together, driving in his blue Oldsmobile. He said, Brother Lewis, he said, I wish it was you being an example for me instead of me being an example for you. He said, one day my enemies will become your enemies. And he named all of them. And sure enough, later on, when Minister Farrakhan became the natural representative of those same people that bit on Malcolm and broke him and caused him to leave the nation, are the same ones that bit on Minister Farrakhan but did not break him. They made him into the man that he is today. All praises due to Allah. We thank God for Muhammad Ali and for the stance that he made. Without Elijah Muhammad, there is no Muhammad Ali. He's the one that gave him the name. He beating Ernie Terrell's brains out right there in the Astrodome and said, what's my name? You gonna say my name right here in the middle of the ring. You gonna say my name. Huh? But what do you say? You gonna say my name Cassius Clay? That's my name. No, my name is Muhammad Ali. And he just got under white folks' skin because Mr. Clay, the name's Muhammad Ali. That's my name. Why don't you want to be called Clay? That's my slave name. I'm not a slave anymore. Woo, man, white folks, what is this guy? What is it? You're unpatriotic. You're not going to go to the war. We're going to take your title. He said, well, sir, you need to apologize. I'm not apologizing. Okay. And he lost his title, man. And nobody walking the face of the earth other than God himself could have beat that man, Muhammad Ali, in his prime. The Muhammad Ali before the exile, the Muhammad Ali after the exile, are two different fighters. Can I get a witness, Brother Fareed? Oh, no, you couldn't touch him. He was chiseled. His body was chiseled, man. He didn't get hit. Huh? And he was just, man, he could knock you out with either hand. See? Y'all said, well, what are you talking about? I thought this was a mosque. It is a mosque meeting. Muhammad Ali used to teach in the mosque in Temple 45, brothers and sisters. You getting some of him right now. I'm channeling him right now. Y'all all right? Yes, sir. right in this city. There's Brother Ivory back there, and his good, and Brother Ivory knows he's smiling from ear to ear right now because he and his brother Sam X, Tree Man Brown. You can show him and see him and Brother Sam escorting and being Muhammad Ali's security in this city. Y'all all right?
Yes, sir.
So I'm trying to, brothers and sisters, is to paint a picture for those of you who visiting with us who may be a little confused because you have seen the students lifted up over the teacher and not understanding that I cannot teach Minister Farrakhan without teaching these two men, because he would absolutely be absolutely angry. Not, yeah, he would be angry, but more importantly, he would be disappointed if we lifted him up and not lifted up the ones who are responsible for him being in our midst. We can't disconnect him. We can't pull him out from these two. We can't leave him out there, just Farrakhan just out here, and then you think it's a charismatic character cult, not knowing that there is two backing Farrakhan. Y'all all right? Huh? And if we stand with him, then there's three backing us. Y'all not listening to me, brothers and sisters? We can't live in fear. The way to greatness is a man or woman that does not live and walk in fear and doubt and suspicion. See, if you don't see Minister Farrakhan's divinity, it's because you're hung up on his humanity. You all right? You want me to say that again? You can't see Minister Farrakhan's divinity because you're hung up on his humanity. Because you can't believe that you're divine. And all Minister Farrakhan has ever tried to make us do is to see, look in the mirror, and see our own potential. Now, there's no man like Minister Farrakhan. He is a unique human being, brothers and sisters, beyond your and my belief, a man that could put down. He came into the Nation of Islam, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told all the musicians at a certain point in time, he said, get out of music, get out of show business, or get out the temple. And so he walked down the street. He said, well, I can live without my music, but I can't live without my messenger. I can't live without the truth. He made the right choice. But here's the point. Here's the point. He was already a classical violinist. He could play calypso. He could do all kind of jazz and all that kind of thing. He could dance. He could sing. He could do all of those things. But he left music alone and then came back and picked up the violin later. Think about what I'm saying. He gave up what he loved, and then came back to it and mastered it again. Because for a man to pick that up and to be able to play Beethoven and all these other kind of, I don't know those kind of things. I don't even know the rap artists. So I'm stuck. Everybody know my music repertoire is stuck in the 70s. Don't laugh, Sister Mavis. Don't laugh. Don't laugh. But you know I am. I'm there. You know I'll take you there. You know that's where I am, right? But the minister to just pick up his violin, and even his enemies said, man, Farrakhan can play. And then to go and to be at the Christ Universal Church, and I think it was his 60th birthday. Yeah, it was his 60th birthday, and to play this concerto, play this thing with this orchestra behind him. And then we go out to California, and he does it again, doing Beethoven. I mean, brother and sister, and then if you're ever with the minister in the hotel, brothers that hold posts in the hotel, or sisters who have the blessed occasion to cook, you'll hear Minister Farrakhan sometime 4 o'clock in the morning playing his violin on that floor. Y'all all right? Yes, sir. But he gave it up, is my point, to get it back. You have a man in Minister Farrakhan, brothers and sisters, that the way he speaks, you literally could write it out. He speaks like written word, like I write better than I speak. Minister Farrakhan, when he says something, you need very little editing. Am I telling the truth, Brother Jesse? You need very little editing. This is a man that, when you sit with him, you want to be thinking about, you want to try to clear your mind. And I'm not being spooky. No, listen to me. You want to clear your mind. You don't want to be thinking no crazy thoughts. Huh? You don't want to think no crazy thoughts. Because if you got no filter like I do, you'll say some crazy stuff. Then get everybody at the table in trouble but yourself. They say, well, I know he crazy. But you all were thinking that, but you didn't say it. But he had the courage to say it. See? Listen, brothers and sisters, y'all look depressed because the Texans lost or something. What's wrong with y'all? I'm glad Nip ain't here because them Cowboys, they played the guy, would never hear the end of it. So anyway. But I just want to stay on Minister Farrakhan for a minute. Is that all right with you? Yes, sir. You think of a man who realizes that day and night, night and day, that his whole purpose for life, he come into the knowledge of who he is. Listen to what I'm saying. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad told him, brother, he said, brother, when you find out who you are, I mean, looking in the scripture, when you find out who you are, man, you're going to have to hold yourself back. Wow. Hold yourself down. See? A man that walks in humility, like the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he's not looking inward so much, he's looking outward in a way that he adores his teacher, but he worships Allah. Y'all hear me? He adores his teacher, but he worships Allah. There's a difference and a distinction. He adores his teacher. He loves the Most Honorable Elijah. He loved him so much, he wanted to give up who he is so that Elijah could live in him. But he worships Allah, the one that the messenger represented to him. Now, the whole Muslim world says Allahu Akbar. God is the greatest. The whole Muslim world says La ilaha illallah. There is no God but Allah. The whole Muslim world. But we say there is no God but Allah who appeared to us in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. Now, a man that stands on that in the midst of all of the scholars, when Mr. Farrakhan started rebuilding the Nation of Islam, 12 years into that rebuilding, he went to Mecca. And he wrangled with the scholars for 3 days and 3 nights. And then like we went over there, Farrakhan not the kind of man that will go somewhere begging for money. No. He ain't go over to Mecca and say, give me some money, give me some money. I'll start to say it like you do, Alhamdulillah. I will start talking with the South Chicago accent, speaking Arabic. No, he didn't do that. He wanted it, there was a great scholar, Muslim head scholar, who heard Mr. Farrakhan do a wedding ceremony. And he wanted him to come and speak to all the imams. Mr. Farrakhan said, yeah, I'll do that, except for what I want to do is I want you to take me over to Mecca so I can go and speak to the scholars. And he stood up on point number 12, that we believe that Allah, God, appeared in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, July 1930, the great Mahdi of the Muslims and the Messiah of the Christians. He stood up on point number 12. He didn't hide it. He didn't try to nuance it. And he let the scholar talk to him for hours, and Mr. Farrakhan very rarely takes notes, but this time he sat down and took notes. And then after the man finished, he gave him back something higher, deeper, and wider than he gave him. The man went back, couldn't sleep. Came back again. Came back again. Went at the minister again. Minister just listened, took notes, gave him back higher, deeper, wider. The man couldn't sleep. Came back next day, he brought a bigger scholar with him. This great sheikh, I forget his name, I don't think it was Zindani or somebody, Brother Jesse. I can't remember the exact name of the man, but the point of the matter is one of these big Muslim scholars. And then he wrangled with him, and then the Honorable Louis Farrakhan wore him out. Once again, the man said, I haven't slept for the last 2 nights. Minister said, I've slept very well, thank you. Huh? And the other scholar was there, and he said, I came to listen and to learn, and I have listened and I have learned. I have nothing to say. You can't defeat The wisdom of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is invincible truth. Now, our question is, are we going to learn it? See, because oratory alone is not going to save us. Alone. No, I'm saying it begins with the word. It's not 5% of this is preaching, the other 95% is what you do. No. Reverse that. 95% of this is the word. If we act on the word, that 5% is all we need. Because the word will back us up. And where we're inadequate in terms of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, God will send us what we need, who we need, when we need it. Y'all not hearing me? So, in Minister Farrakhan, you have a magnetic man. He's magnetic. Got to be magnetic to call for 1 million men and 2 million show up. Or nearly 2 million show up. I don't want to exaggerate. But nearly 2 million. I was there. Then 1 million family march. Millions more movement. And then 10, 10, 15. White man decided he's going to shut us out. Y'all ain't hearing me? So what did the Twitter army do? What did our General Jesse and them do, They went to tweeting and social media, and Minister Farrakhan went around talking on these college campuses, and the young people came. See, the young colts came. Because some of the old heads, some of the bald heads, some of the gray heads, got scared when Mr. Farrakhan was there in Atlanta and a little something hit him on his head. He said, justice. He said something hit him on his head, or else. And when he said that, or else, well, what do you mean, Farrakhan? What do you mean, or else? Oh, my God. Are we going to D.C.? We're going to be rioting? What? Man, they might cut my contract. They might not give me a grant anymore if I stand with Farrakhan. But the young people came. They came, brothers and sisters, and that message is so deep down inside of them. The question is, when are we going to go harvest what our man has sown? The harvest is ripe, but the laborers are few. The harvest is ripe, and we need some laborers that are new. The harvest is ripe. That's about the best rhyme I can do. All praise is due to Allah. I'm just gonna stick on Farrakhan. The way to greatness. The way to greatness is a man. God never gives you a book without a man. You understand? Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when he was making his last sermon, he told them, if you follow this book and my way, my sunnah, my way, he said, you'll never deviate. Well, look at the Muslim world now. I wouldn't follow them nowhere. No, I mean no disrespect. And we go to Mecca, we're not going to their home. When we go to Mecca, we're going to our home. That's our home. That's the root of civilization. That's where, y'all ain't, come on now. On here. I'm not coming back to talk differently, dress differently, act differently, except on a higher level of who and what I am right now, to activate what's already been there. Seeds have been planted in our mind. Mr. Farrakhan's been teaching now for over 62 years, dropping seeds in our mind. We were listening to him, we read, we looked at him, we did all this kind of, there's stuff that we forgot that he said that will become active when we're in the right circumstance, under the right condition. That thing will come up. His voice will come up my head if we clean up. That's right. And we live the life. We will hear Mr. Farrakhan anytime we want to. It's like turning on the radio. Y'all don't believe it. That's beautiful teaching. So, I just want to stick on the minister for a minute, if y'all don't mind. We're always giving an example. We have to be given an example. Mr. Farrakhan is not an insecure man, even though the circumstances of his birth and his rearing made him insecure, but made him insecure for a way for God to use him. Because God can't use an arrogant buffoon. God needs a man in which he's humble enough that he could pour himself in a man. So Mr. Farrakhan, in spite of all of his education, he said, well, education, he didn't finish college. He didn't need to finish college. He went to Winston-Salem Teachers College. He didn't buy a book because what he got all the way through high school was what we get, some of us senior year in college. Plane geometry and algebra 1 and algebra 2 and all that calculus and French and German and Spanish and Latin. Huh? He's a master of language. Y'all ain't hearing me? So they know what Mr. Farrakhan is saying, and that's why they twist his words. They know exactly what he means and what he's saying. But our enemy also is a master of language because that's how he enslaved us. Huh? That's how he enslaved us. Y'all like this black talk up in here till you get outside of there. Then all of a sudden now something else triggers in your mind. I better not say anything because I'm afraid to offend these good white people. And if they don't accept what I'm doing, I'm not doing anything. Says who? But he's humble. Mr. Farrakhan's humble because of the circumstances of his birth. See? Think about it. Samaya, his mother, Mary, same thing. Just like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's mother named Marie. Same thing, Mary. Y'all ain't getting this Mary thing. Y'all ain't hear me now. Follow me now. Follow me. I don't know. Yeah, 19. Surah 19. We have in the Holy Quran a whole chapter named after the mother of Mary. Y'all okay? Yes, sir. So, Honorable Louis Farrakhan's mother, got with her old flame. But she was living with Mr. Walcott. Got pregnant. Prayed, tried to abort him 3 times. So remember, sisters, what's going on in here affects right down here. So if you're insecure, you're afraid, that what was in her mind fed into him. Y'all ain't hear me. Listen. Listen. Now, Mr. Farrakhan is fearless now, but it's rooted in something. It's not false bravado. Huh? It's the real kind of courage that draws on the God, force that's in all of us if we would just tap into it. So, Mr. Farrakhan now is being formed, his mother, she tried to abort him 3 times, right? Then she said, well, Mr. Walker, he really wants a girl, so hopefully this child will be a girl. Huh? So, knowing that Minister Farrakhan's biological father is light-skinned, and Mr. Walcott, if you've ever seen Brother Farrakhan's older brother, he's very dark-skinned. And so Minister Farrakhan comes out light-skinned and a boy. Mr. Farrakhan said that as a boy, he would be so afraid. He would hide up under his covers and pray. See, God takes a man like that, who's shaped and formed in his mother's womb, but really he was shaped and formed in the mind of God before he was born. You see, brothers and sisters, because you know there is a man that answers the prayers. We're in this so-called 400 year of us being in captivity, though our enslavement started long before that. Y'all all right? Not 1619, 1555, and even before that, the Portuguese were sailing up and down the African coast snatching our people. But the English slavery, Sir John Hawkins, one of Queen Elizabeth I's sea dogs, him and Sir Walter Raleigh, they helped defeat the Spanish Armada that was coming to invade England. And the prevailing winds and military strategy stopped them, and that's why we all speak English instead of Spanish. Because they had no defense against the Spanish Armada that was coming. Y'all ain't hearing me. Come on now. But Sir John Hawkins decided he wanted to be a slaver, and when Queen Elizabeth said, oh my God, if we do that, God from heaven will curse us. She was right. But then when she seen that bottom line, she said, my man, Sir John Hawkins, my man. And on his crest of his shield is a manacled African. Yeah, she liked that money, though. And all that our enslavement brought to them. Y'all okay? Yes, sir. But don't you think our people prayed? Yes, sir. Don't you think that they wondered what the heck was going on, where they were going, when they went through that door of no return? Huh? And they went through that door of no return, man, and they looked back at Africa as they were on that rowboat, and they were taking them out to the ship or taking them up that plank to the ship and took them in the ship. and put them down and chain them next to people, some of Africans from the interior that they couldn't speak the same language? Huh? Over there for this journey, lying in their feces and urine and birth, and this person next to you might have dropped dead. And down in the holds of the ship, of course, there's rats and all that. Now, I'm not trying to make y'all sad. Y'all got that look on, oh, God, don't talk about God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. And then, just like over, if you ever, when you go to Africa and you see the slave dungeons, you'll see the quarters of where the governor of that slave quarter or that slave castle used to live. And he had a trap door where he could look down in where all the slaves were being held in a pen. I'm telling you, I've seen this, right? And he would pick out a woman, he would pick out a sister and bring her up so he could have pleasure with her. And then he would do the same thing. He would do the same thing when he was on the slave ship. He would do that on the slave ship, and he would pick a sister up, and they would have pleasure and do whatever they wanted to do with them. Some of us couldn't take it. Some of us jumped overboard. Many of us rebelled. Don't think that we all passive. And, oh, take me into captivity, please. No, man, we was fighting like hell. Many slave rebellions. They don't want to tell you about that because you might get in your mind that you might want to rebel. They honor their rebels. George Washington was a rebel. If England could have caught him, they'd have hung him from the highest tree. They'd have hung Thomas Jefferson and Ben Franklin. They'd have killed all of them. They would have lined them up and they would have lynched all of them if they could. Huh? They even honored those who rebelled against the rebels. Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson. Huh? Y'all. Huh? They'll fight you right now if you try to take down Dick Dallen's statue in Herman Park. Huh? Y'all Juneteenth Negroes in Texas. Because of that man. The Battle of Sabine Pass. 5,000 federal troops were coming here. He fought them off as an artillery captain and kept the feds from invading Texas, and that's why we were enslaved for 2.5 years after the so-called Emancipation Proclamation, and then we got free on June the 19th. But try to take Dick Dallen's statue down. Man, you have a fight on your hands. So they honor their rebels, and they honor their rebels who rebelled against the rebels. Y'all okay? Yes, sir. Now I'm talking about Minister Farrakhan. Because don't you think that in that slave pen, where the Africans were down in that slave pen in their own feces and urine so much that it came up to their hips. And you could see the stain on the wall still there. Yes, sir. Still there. I've seen it. Still there. That stain is on the wall, all around that wall from them standing in their own excrement. Y'all hear me? Yes, sir. And then when they got here, they mated us like animals. Right. And then they would kill us so that we couldn't pass on to our children the knowledge that we had, our culture, our language. They couldn't pass that stuff on, right? Don't you think that those people prayed? Don't you think they prayed on the plantation? When will my help come? Don't you think that we prayed even when we were so-called emancipated? God, what we going to do now? Don't you think we prayed when the Night Riders came, the Ku Klux Klan came? Don't you think that we prayed, brothers and sisters, for some kind of relief? And how do you think that relief was going to come? In a man. God came, look, the birth. Let me tell you something. There's no such thing as coincidence. Only mathematics. It's just that we can't understand God's math because it's way up here, man. It's all kind of differential equations and whatnot floating around, man. You can't picture it, but this one I'm going to give you. February 26, 1877. We had enjoyed 12 years of what was called Reconstruction. We were making progress. We had politicians, we had senators, we had schools, we had businesses, we were farmland, we were rolling, we were starting to make it, man. We were voting, 12 years. But they sat down to make a deal. Just like they made a deal to create the Constitution, that deal, that compromise was made on us, about us. Y'all okay now? Yes, sir. So now on February 26, 1877, they sat down in a Washington hotel called the Wormley Hotel, and a bunch of worms met there. And they decided this contested election of 1876, Rutherford B. Hayes and Samuel B. Tilden, they were contending that, in fact, there was voter fraud, so the election was up to the Congress. They cut a deal and said, look, the Democrats of the South said, we'll vote for you and let you become the 19th president of the United States. 19th president of the United States. If you withdraw the federal troops and end martial law in the South. They agreed. And that's when Jim Crow began for us. Y'all okay?
Yes, sir.
But something else happened on February 26, 1877. A child was born. Mustafa Muhammad in the city, holy city of Mecca. God heard our prayer and answered him by giving birth to a Savior. Y'all okay?
Yes, sir.
Look, Minister Farrakhan is the answer to a prayer that answered a prayer that answered a prayer.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Teach hard, brother Madison.
But he would be so disappointed if we fell down on our face. He done enough teaching, brothers and sisters. He done toured everywhere.
That's right.
He done raised money. If you've seen him at the reparations conference and Kobe's reparation conference, Brother Conrad, Dr. Conrad Worrell was introducing him and telling you what, he just giving you a snapshot of who Minister Farrakhan is. He said every time we called the minister, he would come. And when they had any kind of event, the nationalists, though behind our back sometimes, they laugh and mock us because they love for Malcolm and our belief in the mother plane, our belief that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is still physically alive. Y'all ain't said our belief in Yaqub. Huh? Our belief in the domestic life of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Oh, I can defend all of it. We'll bring it without blinking. If you can't defend them things, you can't stand on your own 2 feet. You don't stand a chance. The minister, what the minister gonna say? When you gonna stand up? When you gonna teach? When you gonna defend? When you gonna look at the path that I've shown you? You don't have to make a new path, just follow in his footsteps. You all right? I'm talking to me, I ain't talking to you. You just happen to be led in this conversation I'm having with myself.
Go ahead, brother
Minister
Minister.
Farrakhan, y'all okay?
Yes, sir. Right.
But anytime somebody wants, somebody's going to be a draw. They have Minister Farrakhan to come to their conference. Come and be a part of the Indaba, the big sit-down. Huh? Whatever it is that they want, get Mr. Farrakhan to come because you know he's going to come with his nation. And we're his nation because he belongs to Elijah. And he belongs to Elijah, so we belong to him, so we belong to Elijah. Elijah belongs to God.
Come on, wow.
Make it plain, Mr. Muhammad.
Oh no, we're a whole nother level of Muslim. Minister Farrakhan is taking us into that 22nd century, brothers and sisters. Huh? This is a man that's so far in advance. We say, don't try to get ahead of the minister. That sounds crazy. No, really, honestly. Man, you trying to get, you getting in front of, man, the only way, look, you can't get in front of a man that's lapping you. The minister, Sister Melva, minister's so far ahead of us. He's so far ahead of us that he's coming up behind us on the track. And we say, don't get ahead of the minister. Get the way the man, he's getting ready to lap us. We moving so slow. Don't get ahead of the minister. Oh, look at him. He's a man, brother and sister. If you really understood, he's taken us. And when people say he deviated from Elijah Muhammad, that's the biggest lie that there is. We never understood the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. He was lapping us. He was so far ahead of us, he was a God in our midst. He was sitting there at his table running a nation. Very rarely came out. He let what? His strongest national preacher in the bounds of North America teach the people. While he administered the nation and sank roots deep down inside of us. Now, when it's all said and done, sisters and brothers, as you and I are looking, I'm talking about the way to greatness. I'm going to give you a couple of screens, and then we get out of here, about 10 minutes, and then we gone. Y'all okay?
Yes, sir. Take your time, brother. Take your time. Stop rushing. Take your time. Yes, sir. We're here. We need it.
No, you got to see him right. You got to see him right. He's unafraid.
That's right. Yeah.
Goes into politics. Elijah Muhammad never told us to go into politics. How you think he got things done? They feared the potential of the Muslims. They knew that the most organized group among them was the Nation of Islam in the time of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. At the time when the Muslims came to Chicago, men had 1,000 FOI lined up in uniform and told the police, stand down, we got this.
Right. Say it again. Say it again. Stand down.
Stand down, we got this. And that's getting ready to happen again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It is. We're going to stand up an exceedingly great army because, you know, as these white folk get more and more desperate, as their world begins falling apart, you're going to see increasing madness among them. The number one madman is right at top. He's right over there in Europe right now, man, stirring the pot. Stirring the pot. God is using him to stir the pot for your and my liberation. We just don't see. Don't get caught up in that Democrat-Republican thing. That's some crap, man. Don't get caught up in that. See the hand of God, Minister Farrakhan teaches us, in everything. Look at the hand of God. Here's a man that's supposed to be the most powerful man on the planet, the leader of the so-called free world, and he's tweeting out insults like a 3-year-old or a third grader. And then we're gonna have my school sister Shawana. We're gonna have no bullying policy. He's the biggest bully in the White House, man. Calling people names. Remind me, you know, being in the school park in New York, man. Oh yeah, here's Sleepy Joe, Crooked Hillary, Pocahontas. He calling jokers names and whatnot, you know. I mean, come on now. We're not supposed to use nicknames. The Quran says evil is a bad name after faith. But here's a man that is in the White House, don't read, make up stuff, told so many lies, they done ran out of paper. The fact check got to get new batteries for his fact check machine. But in all of that, I say that kind of tongue in cheek, but you got to see the hand of God. God is using this man to expose. He is presidential. You're not hearing me. He doesn't act no. If presidential means that I am a smooth liar. Smooth liar. That ain't presidential. That's satanic. Stand in front of you and say, my fellow America. And just be straight lying. No, he lying. But Trump, he ain't got no filter. Out there arguing with the press for 15 minutes before he gets on the helicopter to leave. Just arguing with them. You know, you're fake news. You know you lying, you fake news. That's why I don't like you. I'm like, what? Yeah. Picking fights with China, in the bed with Russia, love the North Korean leader. My man be like, I'll be like, go ahead, Trump. Because you know what? That's what they do. And it take 20, 25 years later, after the papers are declassified for you and I to find out they were doing this all along. Now we hear the tapes of Ronald Reagan and Richard Nixon. And he talking about these monkeys. They just finally learned how to put on shoes or something like that. This Ronald Reagan, the beloved conservative Ronald Reagan. He was a racist. We all knew that. But they hid it. Donald Trump is straight up gangster. So if your eyes aren't open and you got hope for what's going on in the Democratic Party, you get ready to be put back to sleep again. God has come to free you. And he's going to use it by any means necessary. You ain't hearing me. America got $1 trillion debt. Huh? She said, no, I'm never going to pay it, brother. And now she's looking at how she can rob Social Security and Medicaid, stuff that you paid in through your payroll taxes. All of what I'm telling you is in the book. Egypt is now being plagued. Fire and water running side by side. California burning up, Midwest flooded. Y'all not hearing me? The farmers are now struggling. Trade fight going on. They can't sell their soybeans. They're going bankrupt. Famine is about to hit the land, and you sitting here, walking around here, not putting up water, not putting up food, not storing and getting ready for those 7 years of lean that's going to come. Because you think HEB, you can build all the HEBs you want to, them shelves will be empty. The next emergency, just like you found out when they thought a hurricane was heading this way, you went to Walmart, there was no water, there was no bread, there was no batteries. Grocery store only got 3 days worth of groceries in it. God's been warning you through the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He's been a faithful warner to you and I. Unafraid, unapologetic, comfortable in his skin. Preach Jesus better than any preacher I know. Go into church. What Farrakhan doing in the church? What Farrakhan doing helping Jesse with politics? Let him leave the politics alone. He went in there, fearless. But that served God's purpose. Pulled him out. Black people already knew Minister Farrakhan. He'd been teaching in our colleges. He'd been coming over the radio all those years. They knew Minister Farrakhan. But they didn't know that the people knew him. The Jew is a bully. You hear me? He's a schoolyard bully. A big mouth schoolyard bully. And what happens is that when you get a bully on the schoolyard and he starts selling noise, and then all of a sudden, you know, you quiet. You ain't bothering nobody, but he's picking on your friend. This is how it went down. Mr. Farrakhan came out to help Jesse Jackson. The Jews attacked Jesse Jackson. Mr. Farrakhan popped him in the mouth. Pow! No, they went to attack his man. He defended him and popped him in the mouth. They said, oh, my God. Oh, my God. What? Who is this? Who is this? And then they tried to come after him. He's anti-Semitic. He's a racist. He's a black Hitler. They hit him with everything that they could throw at him. And he was still standing. He's blocking them shots, slipping. Whoa! Farrakhan! Right? They got beat up so bad, they had to go get help. What do you mean they had to go get help? No, he's anti-LBGTQ now. See, they couldn't take us on by himself, so they had to go and get some gay people and say, see, he's against y'all too. Come on, let's fight this Farrakhan. And Farrakhan moved, he slipped, uppercut, one of Mike Tyson uppercut, big right hand. They fell back. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. He said, well, okay, I, guess what? He makes a speech. He tells you he is the fulfillment of the Jesus in the scripture. They wait almost 6 weeks. Right before Easter, then they drop it out there. They like finger rolling. Farrakhan says he's Jesus. So now I'm going to get the white evangelicals and black people. You can say somebody's Moses. Oh, you can say somebody's Elijah. You can say somebody's David, but you can't say no. You Jesus. No. So now they try to go get the white evangelical. Yeah, let's all get him. And then Farrakhan again. Stick and move. Stick and move. Stick and move.
That's right.
Come with all you got. Bring it on, Minister Farrakhan said. And told the scared to death Negroes, stand back. If you scared, I'll handle them. Called out Abe Foxman and Anti-Defamation League. Called out the 12 Jewish leaders. Huh? Sent the secret relation between blacks and Jews to all the Jews and all of the Jewish Congress people and the black Congress people. Sent the book, yeah, the Bernanke, the head of the Federal Reserve, sent his book back. I don't want that. No, ain't nobody gonna prove it wrong because it's stellar research. Back it up. That's why we're taught actual facts, y'all. We don't deal in speculation. We deal in actual facts. We got the record on them, and they know we got the record on them. So, I'm just gonna close at this point.
Beautiful teaching.
I got a whole PowerPoint, but you know something, I won't even do it to you. I'm there. I'm where I need to be. I need to be with you in this hour. This is an hour, brothers and sisters, we can't blink. This is an hour we got to stare straight in the face of evil and not be afraid. Go to Surah, Holy Quran says Surah 16, 127. Just go to that. Keep going. There it is. Stay there. Okay, so there are 7 translations here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 translations here of that verse, which tells us to, and be, Arbery says, and be patient. Yet is thy patience only with the help of God. And do not sorrow for them, nor be thou straitened by what they devise. Brothers and sisters, don't be afraid. Mr. Farrakhan is opposed by the government, the most powerful government on earth. Even though a madman's at the head of it, it's still the most powerful government on earth. He's opposed by the most powerful white people on earth, Jews. They're the most powerful white people on this earth. They are the capstone. They are the capstone of white people. Y'all okay? He's opposed by the Pope of Rome because Farrakhan is the vicar of Christ. And the Pope is sitting in his seat. Y'all got quiet on that one. He's opposed by the political forces in this world because if you and I wake up, we will be free. When we wake up, we'll be free, sister and brother. Once we break this false love affair, this one-sided love affair we got with these people.
Come on, one side.
It's a one-sided love affair. They'll never do nothing for us.
Never.
And see, so they're going to make all kind of promises. Isn't it strange that now you sat out 2016 and they want to blame us for Donald Trump being president, but black people did stay home. They didn't like Hillary. So now how are you going to deal with that? How do you explain why black people didn't like Hillary? Huh? Why didn't they like her? Because Minister Farrakhan spoke about her. If Satan cast out Satan, how can his kingdom stand? When Mr. Farrakhan spoke right before the election, black people stayed home. Plus, she engineered the murder of Gaddafi. And all those migrants that you see in Africa that are drowning, women and children that are drowning, is because of that woman. And then when she killed him, after she killed him, she cackled like a crow. We came, we saw, he died. Sounded like the Wicked Witch of the West. Black people who are conscious, they say, I ain't voting for them, and Clinton three-strike law and all that. But look what I did. All my cousins, Ray and them, all went to prison, man, because of that crack law, man. And then you going to jail, man, for marijuana, and these people are making millions of dollars right now in the states where they're legalized. And because you got a criminal record, you can't open up a dope store. Even though you had one on the corner over there in South Park, South Acres, Sunnyside, Acres Home, Greens Point. You had a dope house there. Man, just think if you could have opened up a cannabis dispensary. You'd be a millionaire now, brother, instead of convicted felon. Ain't that something? Look at this, man. So nobody voted for. So now, all of a sudden, we want to talk about reparations.
Get us back. They gonna give us nothing.
That's right.
They can promise you anything, but they got to promise them Midwest white people who voted for Donald Trump. They got to get them back in the blue column. So what are they going to promise them? What are they going to promise them? And how can they keep a promise to us and keep a promise to them? The two things ain't going to work. Y'all all right? Yes, sir. All right, we're getting ready to go. So whatever they plotting against Minister Farrakhan and us, see, they're talking to Muhammad here. The Salih International says, and be patient, O Muhammad. And your patience is not but through Allah. Do not grieve over them, and do not be in distress over what they conspire. So even the Negroes, the weak Negroes, weak Muslims, and hypocrites, don't even worry about them. Don't be in distress for what they conspire. They're not going to win. They're not going to win. So let's go to the next one, 128. 128. Oh, I must have messed that up. Go ahead to the next one. Next slide. Okay. So let me close. I'm going to close on Minister Farrakhan. No. Y'all have been very patient. I thank Allah for you, brother and sister. I don't want to try your patience, nor do I want to abuse your ear. But I want to make sure certain that you understand that this man, Minister Farrakhan, is worthy to be followed.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You say, I love the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Well, he said that this is one of the strongest national preachers in the bounds of North America. Everywhere you hear him, do what? Listen to him. And everywhere you see him, do what? And everywhere he advises you to go, and everywhere he advises you to stay from. And he said, we're thankful to Allah for this great help of mine, Minister Farrakhan. Now, brothers and sisters, he has carried us across the water on his shoulders. He hasn't dropped us in. And again, his humility is such as that as when he gets us, not if, when he gets us to the other side, he won't say, look what I have done. He said, look what Allah has done, because he's a very humble man. Y'all ready for this?
Yes, sir.
All right. The way to greatness, brothers and sisters, is a man. Give me the next slide, please. There, right? No. Go to the next one. Go to that one with the mosque. Mr. Farrakhan said of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he said, Mr. Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, brother, wherever you are, brother, the mosque is. See? So what is my point? What am I trying to get across to you? The mosque is not a building.
My God.
It's not a building. Now, we do things in buildings. Men and women design buildings and do that kind of thing. But there's nothing greater that Allah has created than the human body. That's reflective. It's a microcosm of the macrocosm. As there are 9 systems in your body, there are 9 planets in the solar system. All controlled by the sun as your mind controls your body. So those of you who are thinking, man, I wish he'd be quiet, your impatience is like feeding into your body. And those of you who are enjoying my teaching, the teaching about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, you feel joyful because your mind is dropping all kind of hormones in your body. You got it, right? Okay, good. So look, The mosque has to be in you. You and I have to be a walking, talking house of worship. Huh? As the Quran says, it was not you who slew them, but I who slew them with your hand. So every time I see you, I should see God. Every time you open your mouth should be given the three things that Honorable Elijah Muhammad said his teachings were: life, light, and power. So when I speak to you, I shouldn't feel. Sister Mel will go home and say, baby, what's wrong? I see Brother Holly. Huh? Darkness, death, and what? And run your battery down. Huh? Light, life, and power. So when we see each other, brothers and sisters, the Quran says is that when your brother or sister greets you, give them a greeting that's equal or greater. You should never refuse to give a believer the greetings. I don't care how angry you are with them. Huh? I only got a couple people bearing witness on that. You're going to bury the hatchets and not in each other's head. See, as you prepare for battle, you must settle your differences. Lest you be weak and lose the battle. Y'all all right? Had it been a near gain and a short journey, they'd have been with you, Muhammad. He said, but the tough journey, the hard journey, the heat of summertime is just too much for them. They can't hang. And then they get ready to take on the Roman army at that time. You're going to fight the most powerful army on earth. You got little or no arms. It's the middle of summer, and harvest is due, and you get ready to go and march. The Tabuk expedition, you get ready to go march to take on the Christian, the army of Rome. So that same thing's playing out right now. The mosque has to be in you. If he is in our heart, and he's in our heart, then the mosque is in us. And as long as there's one of us, this nation will never fall. So we have to work on learning our lessons to preserve the teaching. Huh? Now, Honorable Elijah Muhammad said he's the first man since Yaqub to be commissioned by God directly. He's Yaqub in reverse. Yaqub was gone after 150 years, but his process of grafting went on another, 450 years. He was gone. But they obeyed his law because they knew his law. And his laborers enforced the law. And it brought about these new people who are walking the earth. But Yaqub was gone. And remember what your lesson asked the question. Why did we run Yaqub and his made devil from the root of civilization? Across the hot desert, right? Why did we do that? What do you mean run Yaqub and his made devil? He wasn't made yet. Yaqub was already dead. They came back into the Holy Land. Caused trouble. Within 6 months had us fighting one another. We finally figured out it was them, rounded up all of them we could find. And then we ran them across the hot desert. But Yaqub was already dead. So why does the lesson ask that question? Because his mind was in these people. His idea was in these people. And in reverse, brothers and sisters, if the mind, the spirit, the heart of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, if the mind, the spirit, and the heart of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, in the mind, the spirit, the heart, the will of the Savior, Master Father Muhammad, is in us. There ain't nothing they can do with us. Nothing. So they can't figure, they at wit's end as to why they can't do anything to shake our love for Minister Farrakhan. They tried. They try,
Completely impossible.
but they can't do it.
Completely impossible.
They can't do it. So they got to do what they got to do, and we have to do what we have to do.
We ready.
So give me the next, please. Where is the mosque? And what is the way to greatness? It's in a man. Follow in his footsteps, brothers and sisters, and you and I will be successful. Be like Minister Farrakhan, brothers and sisters, slow to judge, and even slower to condemn. Be that way, and guess what? God will bless you. Huh? Come on now, let's go, move on. Now, where's the mosque? The mosque is in the street. We take our spirit in the street, and we are the mosque to the people. It's like it's the reverse of the saying. My grandmama used to say to me, if Muhammad won't go to the mountain will come to Muhammad. Well, if the mountain won't come to Muhammad, then Muhammad got to go to the mountain. Huh? That's what we finna do. Next, come on, let's just move through these quickly and then we'll go. All of these are creations that you have supported directly or indirectly, knowingly or unknowingly. You've created movements in this city that you don't even have any idea you're the birth mother and father of. Many of them have been born right here in this room. Y'all hear that? Let me move on. We're just gonna move on. Come on. See? So we out there in the streets doing what we do, sister and brother, feeding the people, taking care of the people, man, getting the love of the people, giving them the truth, man, trying to fight for peace, united in peace. What's another word for peace in Arabic? Is what? Islam. We're united in this. Okay. That's right. Come on now. So, we got to be among our people, helping our people next. So you got rappers that done went conscious now. They're meeting here today at 4 o'clock, as they do every other month. They're meeting here at 4 o'clock. If you can come back and want to hang out, come on, hang out with them. They come back, they have their ARC meeting here. And these are the things that they're doing now. They did a back-to-school backpack drive. They were doing hair and haircuts and all that kind of stuff, man. They go out and feed the homeless just like Sister Maddie and we do. Brothers and sisters, you leading the way, and people following you. You don't even know they following you. Now they done did a mixtape. Oh, it's a mixtape. Oh, yeah, it's a mixtape. It's slamming, too. Huh? You know me. If it ain't no 70s music on, says, man, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try to listen to it at least once. I'm just kidding. And then we gotta prepare our people for the calamities that's to come. So we're training ourselves, brothers and sisters, to be prepared, man. This is a swift water training they went through, man. To dive in the bayou and save me when I'm drowning. That's right. Man, that's nice, man. Please, please save me, please. Huh? Cancer walk. Everywhere we go, people want to know who we are. So we tell them. That's who we are. We're the MGT, we're the FOI. That's who we are. Next. So, brothers and sisters, look. God come to make a whole new world. And out of that world, he needs some critical mass. He needs a bunch of people who have decided in and of themselves, man, that they are going to submit to do the will of Allah willingly. That's right. And that they'll be the conscious in the conscious community. People, y'all woke folk. We're the alarm clock that woke them up. You can't out-black the Muslims. So you can just say, so that's why they attack us. Because you can't out-black the Nation of Islam. You can't out-black us. Our God comes out of triple darkness. Okay, you can't get no blacker than that. What you gonna do with that? See, everything, you and I cannot know the reality of God. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, except for there are 4 ways, and one of the ways is teaching history. And one of the histories has to be before the white man ever walked this earth. Right. If you don't know that history, you can't out-black us. That's right. You can't out-black us. So we already understand the root of this world and how to fix it. Because, brothers and sisters, before the white man ever came here with his rebellious self, we was rebelling. Those you call Indians was rebelling. We already knew that. Huh? Well, so they already been rebelling 16,000 years. They got exiled. That's why they over here. Huh? And then we went down and we rebelled. We went down into the jungles trying to conquer the jungles after. Thank God that we did. Because we will never survive the middle passage. Have we not done? Again, look for the hand of God in everything. Y'all all right?
Yes, sir.
And last point I'll make, brothers and sisters, is this. You know, don't be so hard on yourself.
Right.
See? You stumble, you fall, get the hell back up. Ain't nobody here your judge. Get up. You disappointed, you dissatisfied, man, look in the mirror. Huh? You already made an agreement to quit. You like somebody in the ring and you got hit by Mike Tyson once or twice, you like, damn, I'm trying to find me a place to lay down. All of a sudden, you just looking for a place. Mike Tyson hit you, you say, oh my God, I'm in here with a mad, oh my God. Well, the Mosque is like a boxing ring. Huh? You better be able to take it. If you can dish it out, you better be able to take it. Because most of us are in agreement to quit. And all we need is an excuse. He looked at me when he was teaching. He started talking about marriage. He know my marriage in trouble. He put my business in the street. See, he just looking to quit. Lieutenant talked to me wrong. He left me on post all day. This one did that. This one, you were going to quit anyway. You just needed an excuse. You were in agreement anyway. You were looking for the exit door. And all you did, you found an excuse in imperfect black people.
How you gonna quit your nation?
You can't quit your nation. You can't quit. You know, he said, man, don't join the Muslims because you can't quit them. You can't go. It was like one time I was in a copy shop with myself and Brother Khalil, and this brother said, yeah, he knew the brother. I didn't know the brother. He knew the brother. And the brother said, yeah. He said, yeah, man, he was making some copies of something and some Bible verses and all that. He went somewhere to think he was the Messiah or something. So Brother Khalil said, hey, brother, so-and-so, so-and-so. He said, yeah, brother, I'm out of that. Brother Khalil said, what, you out of what? I'm out of Islam, brother. He said, well, how did you get out of the universe? Tell me that. Islam is everything. Sun, moon, stars. It's the very nature in which Allah created man. You can't alter Allah's creation. You can't alter the nature in which you were born, brothers and sisters. You can only live according to it, or you can live against it, and living against it causes death. Choose life. Don't jump out of the process. You're not through yet. God's not through with you. He set this up to make gods. You can't be made a God unless you go through what God himself went through. 6 trillion years of studying himself. Went through pain in forming himself. You can't be a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, if you're not ready and willing to accept pain. Elijah Muhammad built a nation of Islam knowing that one day they were going to walk away from everything that he built, take down his picture, yet he pursued his goal. He pushed through the pain. Minister Farrakhan suffered pain to rebuild this nation. Master Fard Muhammad studied 42 years. Who are you to stop studying after 4 weeks and think you know something? When the last time you opened up your books, your lessons, your study guides? When the last time you've done these things? Last time you come to your Wednesday meeting, you come to your Friday meeting, you come to your Sunday meeting. When's the last time you come to your sister's class, your men's class? That's right. You got quiet. Come on. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Come on. What's your excuse? You already agreed to quit, but whatever it is that came up in your mind, is your excuse because you have an agreement with losing. You don't want to be God. You want to be a polytheist. You want to worship other people as God instead of worshiping the one God and the one that deposited himself in you. To whom much is given, much is to be required. And what you know, you're responsible for. I'm responsible for. So we have to make a conscious decision to use whatever God has given us. If it's 1 talent or 10 talents, you are obligated to use them in God's way. That's why you were chosen. You didn't choose God, he chose you. You got no choice. And in rejecting God as your choice, you're going to catch hell from here on in. You'll never be happy until you accept the God who called you from death to life. You'll never be happy until you perfect yourself, and in doing so, help perfect your brother and your sister, and in doing so, help perfect the community, and in doing so, help perfect humanity. We got a worldwide mission, sister and brother. You're very special in Houston, Texas. Don't ever get it twisted. God has chosen you for a special purpose. The question is, will you accept his choice of you? Or you continue to play 1970s Rick James, Hard to Get. I pray Allah blesses you with the light of his understanding. I pray that if you were in doubt, you stop wavering. I pray that if you were in pain, that the healing would come. I pray that if you were in suspicion, that you would lose your suspicion and put your total faith in the God that brought you from death to life. I pray, Allah, brothers and sisters, that he will bless you, your coming and your going. And I pray, Allah, that he will unite the hearts of the believers and make them strong, and let us work together to save our people, because that's why God saved us. He saved us to go save his people. And the value of Minister Farrakhan is, his value is more than all the wealth in the earth, because through him, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, he will get all of his people. And if you and I are his helpers, then what is our value in the sight of God? Lift your head, brothers and sisters. Know who you are and whose you are, and then accept your own and be yourself. May Allah bless you as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.